Good evening, good evening, good evening. I apologize of a lot of technical difficulties tonight, but we are here. We're here. I am Willie A. Price. Willie A. Price Speaks, and welcome to another Sunday night, A Better You Lifestyle. This is our fourth week, and for our fourth week, we are talking about making your house your home, where we talk about real estate. And again, my name is Willie A. Price. Willie A. Price Speaks. I just want to give you a little background on this show. We come on every Sunday night at 8 o'clock, normally 8 o'clock. But like I said, tonight we're having a little technical difficulty. So we ran a little late on this show tonight. But hold on one second. I'm trying to set up something here. Okay, it's all set. All right, just want to set that up. So, again, my name is Willie A. Price. Willie A. Price Speaks. A Better You Lifestyle, making your house your home. Every Sunday night at 8 o'clock p.m., we do a show regarding how to make and create a better lifestyle for you and your family. So our first week, and I just want to give you a rundown of how the show works. The first week, we talk about understanding your you. And understanding your you is all about self-awareness, self-esteem, self-motivation, self-confidence, all about you. Understanding your you. Second week is called A Mother's Love. And a mother's love is basically that, how much we want to work with our children and the children in our families and children in our community and things like that to help them to become, again, self-aware, self-esteem, self-motivated entrepreneurs, helping our young people to find and understand who they are and what their life goals are so they too can be successful in life. So that is our second week. Our third week is Financially You. And we didn't do a show last week. I was going to do a show last week, but I got tied up with some other things and I didn't get a chance to do it. And I should have ran a video. I think I did run a video, but next month for sure, I am going to be doing something about financial literacy. There's a lot of stuff I've been working on, a lot of things I've been doing. So we'll talk about financial literacy. That's our third week, where we talk about Financially You, how to create generational wealth for you and your family, how to teach entrepreneurship, real estate investing, stock market, franchises. We talk a little bit about everything, getting your credit score, information together and getting rid of credit cards. We do a topic on getting rid of broke ass habits, where we talk about how to reduce your financial liabilities and use more of the money that you make, allowing you to make that money and do more with it. And then tonight, our fourth week, which is making your house your home, all about real estate. And that could be anywhere from buying real estate to maintaining real estate to learning about how to sell real estate, property management, property inspections, auctions. We talk about everything on making your house your home, because that's what it is, all about making your house your home. And whether it's a house that you live in, whether it's a real estate that you're managing, real estate that you own, whatever the case may be, this is when we talk about real estate. So if you have any questions, concerns, thoughts, ideas, this is the night that you would want to address it prior to, so that way we can address your question or your concern and help you to find the answers that you need. A lot of people don't know, or some people do know, I have been in the real estate field for over 20 years in one way or another. And I started out with real estate through buying. I used to be a property manager and property owner, I would say, before I even became a property manager. I used to own up to, at one point, 20 houses in the city of Buffalo, New York. And I did that through the grace and the blessings of my stepfather, who taught me how to invest in real estate, which is something he did. And that was his way of creating a bond between he and I, because I didn't accept him as my stepfather or any role in my life at the time when he first came into my life. And he saw that I was a young kid, 9, 10 years old, out hustling, selling newspapers, working at fruit stands, washing cars, anything I could do to make money, I was out there doing it, except for stealing. That was one thing I didn't do, and I still don't like people who steal. So I wasn't stealing, I wasn't doing anything criminal, but I was always out trying to do something to make money and generate wealth, generate money for myself. It wasn't even wealth back then. I was just trying to make money because at that time I had a lot of things, responsibilities as a 9 or 10-year-old that I wanted to do for myself. His way of creating a bond between us was introducing me to what he did, was buy properties through Buffalo City Auction. And he showed me how to do that along the way. And one of his requirements was that I stay in school and go to college. He said, I want you to go to college. This way, if the real estate doesn't work out, you'll have that college degree, something that he didn't have. He worked in the steel plant, and that's, what he did. But he also did a lot of ventures, business and entrepreneurial ventures with his brothers. They had ran like a bar and restaurant. They ran a car lot. They owned real estate. They did so many different things. So that was instilled in the people in the family, in his family, and he instilled it in me. So again, a lot of people may not have known that is how I started, was in real estate, was buying homes. And then I got into learning how to maintain those homes, because one of the things he told me is that when you own these properties, the more you can save by doing things for yourself, the more money you have for yourself. And of course, me, I'm trying to make as much money as I could. So I went to school, a kid who hated school. I went to school, night school, to learn electrical. I went to night school to learn carpentry. I bought the Time Life Do-It-Yourself books. A lot of people may not know what those are, but it was called the Time Life Do-It-Yourself books. And it was all about teaching you how to do different things around your house. And I bought the volumes. It was like several different volumes on different subjects. And I bought all the different volumes and I used them to learn how to work on the houses that I was owning. And one of the things I used it for was plumbing. I learned how to do plumbing using the Time Life Do-It-Yourself books. And any of the things that I did, if I didn't do it right, or if I found that I had some questions about it, I would pay someone who was a licensed professional or a professional to come out and repair it. And then through what they would do is I would sit and watch them to see what I did wrong. And that's how I became more efficient at the things that I did. And from there, I got into people would call me and say, hey, I know you know all this stuff about houses, because I had become pretty popular around the city of Buffalo, being known because I started a property management company and property maintenance company. And I was working around the city, managing my properties, helping landlords and different things. And people called me and said, hey, I know you know a lot about houses. I keep hearing you know a lot about houses. We're looking at buying this house. Can you come look at it and let me know what you think about it? And I was like, hey, there's got to be a way I can make money doing this. And so what I did was I went to school. I found a school, and the first school that I went to was in Columbus, Ohio, and it was a property inspection school. And I went to school in Columbus, Ohio, and it was a 1-week class, 9 hours a day, 8 hours a day. And we did this class, and I became a home inspector. I took this training, and I got 95 out of 100 on the exam. And the instructor, he never forgot me, because I got 95 out of 100 on the exam. And so I took that training. A couple years later, they offered another training in Dallas, Texas, and Plano, Texas, actually. So I went to Plano, Texas, and I learned how to become an advanced property inspector. And it was the same instructor when I got to Plano, Texas, because that's actually where he was from, was Texas. And when I walked into class, he remembered me. He remembered me, and he was like, hey, I remember you, Willie. And I was just, and he was telling the class about me. And this kid, he sat in the class and he's writing these notes and he's doing this, that, and the other. And he got 95 out of 100 on the exam. So, we did the same thing. We did the classwork and this, that, and the other. And we went through everything. And I'm asking questions like I did in the previous class, and took the exam. And I got 95 out of 100. And it just blew his mind. He was like, wait a minute. You just got 95 out of 100 again. And so, and that became like a running kind of joke for us, that, whenever we would see each other or talk to each other or email each other, we would talk about the fact that I got 95 out of 100 on both exams. And so I got into home inspections. So from there, I just started doing inspections for banks and mortgage companies and different companies. Worked for HUD. I was a HUD inspector for 3 years, traveling around the country inspecting properties for HUD. I got lead certified, so I did lead inspections. Came back from working with HUD and took a contract in Rochester, New York, where I got trained, BPI certified to become a weatherization inspector. And I did weatherization inspections, and then I got contracts to work with national, well, not a contract, but an agreement with working with National Fuel Gas to do home energy saving workshops. And I actually did get a contract. I got a contract with an agency, Cornell University. They heard about me and they contracted me to go around in the university district, and we went to homes and did energy savings and did carbon monoxide testing and things like that to help people to live in a safer home. And we did that in the university district. So, I mean, I've done so many different things. I've done construction, maintenance, rehab specialists, commercial properties. I even worked for attorneys doing inspections through trip and falls. So as you can see, I have been very, very, very active in the real estate field. And am I active in the real estate field now? No, I try not to be. I had so much going on with real estate that I really got burnt out with it, with real estate, with owning properties. I sold all my properties. I teach different programs in real estate, from property management to do's and don'ts before buying a home, spring your home into action, prepare your home for winter. Property Management Made Easy actually came from a program that I was contracted in Rochester to do for a program called the Double Home Program, where they paid me to come out and train first-time home buyers who bought double 2-unit properties from the city of Rochester. And they paid me to come out and do a landlord training to teach them how to become property managers, how to manage those properties and get rents and maintain the properties. And I did that with them and came back to Buffalo after that. Like I said, I was back and forth, but I've always been a part of real estate, a part of inspection. I enjoy inspections. I even work for attorneys. I did what is called trip and fall safety evaluations. So I was going out and I was doing trip and fall evaluations for people who were filing lawsuits against, different owners and different things who have fall or hurt themselves on properties. And I would go out and the attorneys would pay me to go out and look at those properties and write up reports to show whether it was, something on that property that could have been done to prevent that person from being injured on that trip and fall. And I did that for about a year and a half for one specific attorney. And I did that for about a year and a half for them. And so, like I said, my experience in property inspections and property evaluations and commercial and weatherization and all the different things. Right now, all I do some consulting. I do property evaluations and consulting. I don't do inspections. I do property evaluations and consulting, which is a little more detailed than a property inspection, a lot more detailed actually than a property inspection. And the reason why I went into consulting and doing evaluations is because I got blackballed by a lot of realtors because they said I was too thorough when I did the inspections. And so they started to tell clients not to use me. I had certain attorneys that always referred their clients to me, but of course they got backlash from the realtors because the realtors felt that I was too thorough when I did my inspections. Okay, I'm just reading something. Oh, so they felt I was too thorough when I did my inspection, and so did HUD. HUD said the same thing. I got complaints from a lot of the administrations of the housing authorities. They said I was too thorough and too I was doing too much of what HUD taught me to do. That actually HUD actually offered me a position to be a supervisor to oversee the other inspectors, and I didn't want to do it because they wanted me to basically be on the road 5 days out of the week. I was in the airports on Mondays and flying home on Fridays, and I would have been all over the country monitoring and watching inspectors to make sure that they did the job correctly, The same thing they told me I was doing too thoroughly. They wanted me to make sure that the other inspectors were doing it the way that I was doing it. But I ended up not taking that position because I did not want to be away from home 5 days a week, every week. And when they gave me some stipulations on the position, I realized I didn't want to do that. So eventually we ended up parting our ways because they couldn't get me to do what they wanted. So we ended up having a lot of difficulties. I say that to kind of bring a leeway into what I want to talk about tonight. Making your house your home and buying properties, first-time home buyers, existing home buyers. But I read this article. I was reading this article, and it was all about always requesting a home inspection. And I saw this article a while ago, but it just came back to me the other day. And so I wanted to bring it up. And I'm going to read from the article, basically go by what the person who wrote the article, and I'm not going to give the name, and I'm trying to avoid giving any indication of who the person is, but I'm going to kind of go through because they were talking about the need for a home inspection and you should always request one. But some of the information that they gave in the article regarding the do's and don'ts of the home inspector and the roles of the home inspector, they're kind of touchy. They're kind of touchy, and some of them real close to not being true. So when I read the article and I reread the article, I felt that it would be something I'd like to talk about tonight, especially with it's starting to get springtime, except for today it's snowing outside, which is crazy. But it was a great opportunity for me to talk about what to expect from a home inspector and use this article as my leeway into that, because it's going to help you as a home buyer or a person who's looking at potentially buying a home, what to look for when you're buying that home getting that home inspected and reaching out to a home inspector. So I'm going to use their article, and it's going to take a few minutes because there's like 7 points that they made in this article. So I think I need to hurry up and get to it because I don't like to keep you guys late, and I already started late. So we're like 17 minutes into this. I started out with my little intro and everything. So I'm going to give you some information on this. This is a realtor who wrote this article, and they were saying that, hey, when you buy a home, you should always try to get a home inspection. And even that's the case if the person is doing a as is sale, because you still want to know what you're buying. Sometimes they'll do an as is sale because they know that there's something wrong with the property and they don't want to deal with it. So they're doing it as you take it as it is, and whatever the problems are, we're not fixing anything. And that's normally what you'll hear on an as is sale. That doesn't mean you can't get a home inspection. That just means that whatever that home inspector finds or that property evaluator finds, which is what I would do if you're hiring me, I would go out and I would do what's called a property evaluation. And what the property evaluation is, we do a full evaluation of the property. We do infrared. We do a lot of different testing. And then we do a consultation. We provide consultation service where the information in that report, we follow up with you for 60 to 90 days. If you buy that property, we work with you to help you to address those things. A home inspector doesn't do that. A home inspector goes out, does an inspection, gives you a report, and he walks away. And as a matter of fact, we're actually cheaper than the home inspector. I've been seeing some prices where home inspectors are charged anywhere from like $550 to $750 to do an inspection. Man, you shouldn't, especially for some of the stuff they're doing. But that's not here nor there. That's not what I'm going to talk about tonight. That's why I'm avoiding that. They do talk about price in the first one, so I am going to talk about that a little bit. But so let me actually just get right into the article. So it talks about, it's very important to have a home inspection or property evaluation if you're using my service. But and it goes into, point number 1, home inspections. Inspection fees range from anywhere from an estimate of $200 to $575. A referral for a professional inspector is always useful. The inspection should reveal information about the condition and systems. This is where the purchaser will be aware of necessary costs and items requiring attention earlier and in the future. The purchaser should view the report with their realtor now, and you really shouldn't, but real estate agent, and decide what is best if you should decide to buy or move forward with the property. Now, I'm gonna go back with some things here. Now, and they said the estimate is anywhere from 200 to 575. Like I said, I've seen some that have been as high as $750 for a single family home. So, I mean, there are some guys that's charging that amount. We don't charge that much, and for 200, if that's what they're charging for a full home inspection or property evaluation, they are not doing you a real service. Now, we provide what is called a walkthrough evaluation, and a walkthrough is in a situation where you want to get some idea, you have some concerns about the property, you want to get a quick walkthrough and have somebody come through and look at certain systems in the property. Now, we do those, and that's somewhere between $200 and $300, depending on what the size of the property, number of units, and all that kind of stuff. We do that. We start out at like $200, $250. But if they're charging you that for a home inspection, you get what you pay for. Trust me, that person probably hasn't been in business long and just trying to get under some realtor. And so that's what brings me to the next point. It says gets referrals or from different people. Those referrals should come from people who bought homes, not from the realtor. The realtor, they should give you a list. It's called guiding when they give you that, oh, we use Willie Price. He's on our team. That's what is called guiding. And it's illegal to do that. But of course, you have people that do that because they want to make that sale and that commission. So it's called guiding when they do that. And it's really illegal. But you will have realtors say, oh, well, we only use, or this is our guy because we know that he does, he'll do a great job for you. All those things are guiding you to use someone. And then if it doesn't work out with that person, they will take no responsibility for leading you to that person. So they should give you a list of inspectors, if anything, or give you some names of inspectors, or give you some clients who have used inspectors. And that inspector can give you some names of clients that they've used, and more than one. Give you a couple of names, and these are the clients I've used, and this is how you reach out to them. So, that was the first thing. Pricing and references and things like that, that's what you want to do. So now in number 2, it says health and safety focus. Be mindful of mold and gas and radon and carbon monoxide. If detected by the inspector's test, should be conducted and results issued in the report. Now, again, when you hear that, you're thinking that this is part of the inspection. This is not part of the inspection. That is actually an extra cost. So if you want a mold test or a gas test or a radon test, now we do gas tests. That's part of our inspection because we're just checking the gas lines, make sure there's no gas leaks. And we use what is called a TIF 8800. And that's like one of the best gas detectors. Actually, that gets me in problems too, because that's pretty thorough too. It's very, very sensitive to gas. And so it picks up the slightest gas leaks. And so we've had some issues where the gas company will come out and say, we can't find the gas leak. And then I'll come back and show them where it is. And they'll be like, oh my God, that thing is so sensitive. So, so we use the TIF 8800. We have another device also that we use. So that way, that one's not as sensitive, but it will pick up the gas leaks. But when they tell you, be mindful of mold and gas and radon and carbon monoxide, and if detected by the inspector, test should be conducted and results issued in the report. That is not included in the inspection. They charge you extra from that, and that can be anywhere from $100 to $200 to $300 to $400, $100 to $500, depending on what test and the number of tests you're getting done. So that's kind of misleading with that. Carbon monoxide. I have a carbon monoxide detector, which I use when I'm doing my property evaluations. So we do gas testing, we do carbon monoxide testing, in certain areas. We do infrared testing. But like I said, this is not a sale for me. I'm just kind of talking about what they do and what we do. In addition, smoke detectors and all others should be on board and in working conditions. And so you do test them, make sure that they're operating, make sure that they're in the right locations. And even in your report, you can have a diagram showing areas where they should be located. So that way, if you even have them in the basic areas where they should be, then you should be good. If not, this should be cited in the report, which is true. Options: owners resolve issues during the inspection period or purchaser withdraws from the offer. Now, I don't understand that during the inspection period. So I guess what they're saying is that if the report comes back with certain things, they have a certain amount of time to repair it prior to the closing or whatever. So I guess that's true. I guess that's how they do it. I don't know. I normally address it when the clients contact me and say, hey, they're going to do X, Y, Z, and what should we be looking for? Or how much would it cost you to come back and look at these items and make sure it's done the correct way? So, but I don't know what this inspection period thing is. Number 3, added features. The inspector is mindful of detecting additions to a home. Detecting additions to a home, which means if they've added an addition to the house. So if there's been like an additional room added or a second floor added or something added or converted in the property, the inspector should be detecting those things. And that's really not true, but I'll talk about that in a second. These will be detailed in the report. That also is not true. Expanded garages, basements, rooms, all require permits and must follow city, county, and state codes. Now that's misleading, because as a property inspector or property evaluator, you don't really have to know all the housing and city codes and state codes, because that's what a code enforcement person does. That's who code enforcement are, people who does city inspections and things like that. Or even a HUD inspector doesn't have to know city and state and codes, because codes vary from city to states to counties. And so you would never know all the different codes and how they pertain to different properties. So you basically, as an inspector, he's doing a condition report, which means that if that owner, when they give you that information about that property, in that description, it's supposed to tell you if there's an addition, if there's new sections added to the property, if it's a finished or unfinished basement, all those kind of things. It's not the inspector's job to go out and see if they've got it permitted. That's not the inspector's job. So their job is not to go out and write up there's an addition here and I went and found out there's no permit. No, that's not what the inspector's job is. His job is do an inspection to tell you the condition of what's on that property. It's not his job to tell you, to do investigate whether they got a license to do the work. But a lot of times, if that inspector knows what he's doing, he can look at that work and tell if it was done professionally. They should be able to tell that. That's part of their role, is to be able to determine, whether work is done in the manner. And that's what they're supposed to tell you, the condition of the work and how it was done. It is not their job to, all work is, all required permits and must follow city. No, that has nothing to do with home inspections. There's no city codes and all that stuff. You should know some of the city codes, so that way you can kind of give them some ideas. You should know some, certain codes, so that way you can kind of point, hey, okay, you should have a step, anything over 3 steps should have a handrail. That's a general code, because you're giving them information, because after 3 steps, at 3 steps, you're looking at a height where a person can fall. And if there's no handrail, they could fall and hurt themselves from a higher level. So anything over 2 steps, they should have a handrail. So that's as a city code, but it's also a health and safety. So you should know health and safety. You should more so health and safety than city codes. So that's, that's some information there. Impact home insurance, that may impact home insurance and things like that. I tell people, if they have knob and tube wiring, that's more of a concern than anything. If you have knob and tube wiring in an older home, and a lot of homes that were built in the early 1900s and later are a lot of them have knob and tube wiring. So those are the concerns that I would have with buying a home, because eventually you're going to have to upgrade that electrical, and it could cost you thousands of dollars. So that is something that I put in a lot of the property evaluations that I do. In reality, the purchaser will have to deal with this in the future if it is not under code, which is, again, you're not doing code. If you were doing code enforcement, that's a whole different job. So that's not what an inspector's job is. Feel free to inquire your agent and attorney for details. As is purchases, which is what I talked about earlier. This is number 4. This is a home being sold in its current condition, which means as is. These homes have some concerns. There are some unoccupied or boarded up for a period of time. Okay, that's something they wrote. Okay, some are unoccupied and boarded up for a period of time. Inspectors will make a note of mold in detail as a hazard to health. Okay, they'll point out mold and mildew and things like that, and they should. And the cost to improve it. No, they don't do cost estimates. That is not part of the property inspection, is to do cost estimates. Now, you can add that as an additional cost, but normally that's not a part of the inspection, is to give you cost of what something would cost you, because they are not the person doing the work. So you can't give a price, and it's called leading. Again, misleading the client. So if I tell you, oh, your roof needs some replacement, and it should cost you around $1,000. And now when you buy that house thinking that it's only going to cost you about $1,000, $1,500 to do the work on the roof, and then you call the roofing contractor out, and he says, oh, no, you've got rotted this and this, that, and the other, and you're going to need gutters here, because, see, now they're giving you the scope of work that needs to be done. And as a result of that, instead of $1,000 to $1,500, they say, oh, that's going to cost you about $7,000, $8,000, $10,000. Wow. Wait a minute. The inspector said it was only going to be $1,000. So now you've been misled and convinced to buy this property based on the idea that you're only having to pay $1,000 to $1,500 for that property. That's called misleading. But they call it leading, but it's really called misleading, because what you're doing is you're trying to help that realtor get that commission by not making the situation sound as bad as it is or could be. So you don't give cost estimates like that. You can do as an additional cost, general cost estimates, which is just that, a general cost estimates about, and that means you're going back and you're researching and you're putting a whole separate agenda of a report together. It's not even part of the actual report. It's going to be a separate section in the report that's going to talk about cost estimates, or it may be a separate report altogether. And we do that. We provide a totally separate report which goes through all the rooms and gives you that cost estimates. And we just did one for a guy in Arizona. So I mean, that's not part of the property evaluation, and they should not just give you some ballpark figure. Most plumbing outside equipment removed. Let me see, I'm just reading. Oh, it also should cover costly things like plumbing, outside equipment removed, electric, gas lines, etc. Okay, number 5, having the purchase come to a reality. Having the purchase come to a reality. I don't know what that means. Having the inspection is an opportunity to negotiate the repairs to be addressed and completed by the owner. Also consider the possibility of a price reduction or credit from the owner. Keep in mind, if there's a credit, the completion of the repairs depends on the degree of items cited. Completions may have to occur before closing. The loan officer will, okay, that's all about what, that's part of the closing stuff. So that's really has nothing to do with the inspector. That more has so to do with the inspection report. So with the inspection report, you're using that information that inspector gave you or that property evaluator gave you to help you negotiate some of the things that either they're going to do or they're going to discount from the price, so that gives you money available to make those repairs or changes or whatever needs to be done. Where else are we on? Okay. Number 6. This one, I'm going to read this and then I'm going to talk about this one. And then I'm going to tell you reality. I'm going to go back for a second. Just give you another thing. I actually taught home inspection, introduction to home inspections for the City of Buffalo Adult Learning Center. I was one of the first home inspector trainers in the City of Buffalo. At the Adult Learning Center on Virginia Avenue in Buffalo, New York. They hired me to do one of the first home inspection training courses. So a lot of the stuff that I'm talking about is because I know. And like I told you, I got 95 out of 100. And that's how the trainer in that program, he knew I knew my stuff. I've always been the kind of person that, if it's something I'm into, I try to learn as much. That way I can provide the best service I can for the clients that I work for. So now I'm going to read this because this one really got to me. This is what made me want to talk about this article. So number 6, lifetime of systems. The inspector will issue an approximation of the plumbing, heating, and air conditioning systems, hot water tanks, and sump pumps. Determination of the condition when installed and longevity. This will allow the purchaser to plan a budget for the future. Home insurance is purchased before the closing. Okay, that's something else. And I'm going to talk about that as well. Let me go back to this again. Like I said, this is what made me want to talk about this article. Because when I say everything in the article was pretty close to, pretty much, close to good information, up into number 6, life of systems. The inspector will issue an approximation of the plumbing, heating, and air conditioning systems, hot water tanks, and sump pumps. That is absolutely false. That is absolutely false information. That is not what the inspector is supposed to do. He is not supposed to give you any type of life longevity approximation, none of those things. It's called leading. It's called misleading. Because if I say to you that hot water tank is going to last you, and I even tell people when I go over my evaluation agreements, I said, I'm not going to tell you that the hot water tank is going to last you 5 years or the roof is going to last you 10 years. That's called leading. Misleading is what it's really called. But it's called leading the client to make a purchase. And you are not supposed to do that. You are not supposed to do anything that's going to sway that person to buy or not to buy that property. If they're under the understanding or the confidence that roof is going to last them 10 years because the inspector said 10 years and it only lasts 5 or 7, now you've misled them, because now they're thinking they don't have to do anything for 10 years on that roof. They're thinking the hot water tank is going to last them 5 years and it lasts 2, and now they have to go out and buy a hot water tank. That is why you don't give estimates. If you did not put that hot water tank in and get a warranty and provide it to that home buyer, you cannot go in and tell them anything about that hot water tank other than if it's connected properly, if it's all the things are set up on it the way it's supposed to operate, if it's operating as it is designed. That is what your role is. Your role is to say the hot water tank has been evaluated and it is operating as designed. It's connected as designed. It's vented as designed, as it's supposed to be. It has a pressure release hose. The temperature could be adjusted. You could put that information in the report. You might want to adjust it to help to reduce energy costs. I mean, you can put things like that that's going to help them. But you can't say, oh, the hot water tank is in good condition. And you should never say good and bad. It's in good condition and it should last you about 5 years. You've just misled them. You've just misled them because now they're thinking that's going to last at least 5 years because the inspector said it. How does he know? How does he know? Did he see something on there that says when it was installed and how long it should last? And even if he did, he has to document. Note on the furnace that it was installed on such and such date, and the lifetime limit says a warranty of 10 years. Again, it's telling what was there, what he saw, because you're doing a visual inspection or visual evaluation. You didn't install that hot water tank. So when you say that the inspector will issue an approximation, no, he should not issue an approximation of anything. He should not give you the roof is going to last you 10 years. Again, all those things are misleading. That's guiding you to make you think, okay, well, I've got 10 years. I got 5 years. I got 2 years. Oh, maybe next year. No. It's operating. It's not operating. There appears to be some issues. There's some concerns. These need to be addressed, and you document what you see because it is a visual inspection, a visual evaluation. And so this is what made me want to talk about this because, like I said, the article up to this point was pretty decent. It was a pretty good interview article, and that's what made me want to, check it out. And I read it, but then when I got to number 6, I said no. Some of the things were misleading up to this point, but this is outright wrong. And if your inspector or your evaluator or whoever you call, if he comes out and he does this, he's doing you a disservice. He's lying to you. He's not a professional. He may have a license because and the only reason why a license was issued and what the licensing was created because there were people who had no clue what they were doing and heard that they could go out and say, I'm a home inspector, and they could make $200, $300, $400 telling people about the condition of homes. So what New York State decided to do in a couple other states is that we're going to start a licensing where we know that you've been trained and this, that, and the other. And then you get a license number and you pay annually or biannually. I don't know how often they pay because I don't do that. I'm not an inspector. I'm putting it right here on this thing. I am not a home inspector. I do not do home inspections. I do property evaluations and consulting, and we provide 60 to 90 day consultation service with our services that we provide for commercial, residential, weatherization, lead, all those type of things, the evaluations and the consulting that we do under my training. With all that being said, what that number 6 says, that makes the rest of this article really shaky because you've given something that is very, very false. And the inspector should not under any, even if they ask you, well, how long do you think it's going to last? You think it's going to last you 2 years or 5 years? I couldn't tell you because I don't know when it was put in. All I can tell you is based on what I see here, there's no problems, there's no issues, there's no concerns. It's connected, it's operating, it's vented properly, it's got a pressure release hose. The furnace is, I may recommend a cleaning tune on the furnace because I've seen some soot and some different things. I'm checking the carbon monoxide to make sure there's no damage heat exchangers. And you can tell, sometimes you can tell with the heat exchangers because you'll see the flame jumping off of the burners. And that's an indication that the heat exchanger is going bad on that system because that means oxygen is pulling the heat up and the fire off of the burners. So, I mean, there's some certain things you can look for. But again, you have to be careful with precise information when giving a visual inspection. It's called visual inspection for a reason, because in their report, you'll see that they'll say, we don't do this and we don't turn on this and we don't turn on the water faucet. Why? You should turn on the water faucet to make sure the water is operating right, that the pressure is operating, that when you turn it on, there's no leaks under the cabinet. You have them walk in and just look. That's doing you a disservice. So, I mean, I could get into some of the stuff I've seen some of these guys do that really, really, really bothers me. And some of the reports that I've read about what they don't do It's and all of a sudden they'll say it's a visual inspection, but then they're giving you information that took more than a visual inspection to determine, like the approximate life of a furnace and hot water tank. Don't get me started. So anyways, I'll get back to so number 6, totally false and should not be done. And if you have somebody giving you that much information about a hot water tank, furnace, sump pump, roof, giving you dates and longevity and all that stuff in the report, they've just misled you. It's called leading, and it's illegal. It's illegal. So that's how I'm supposed to do it. You can actually sue them if that roof or that hot water tank goes prior to what they said, and you can show it in the report. And they should not be giving you any verbal anything. They should not be saying, "Well, I could tell you this, but I won't put it in the report." If they say that, then they're not supposed to do that. It's supposed to be everything that they tell you is supposed to be written in that report. If it's not in that report, then they shouldn't be talking about it and telling you about it, because it's a written report. That's what the report is for. So, I mean, there's so many things that I could go on about, but people know me. They know I do what I do, and I'm thorough with what I do, and I'm one of the best. I can say I am one of the best at what I do, and that's because I've been trained in so many different aspects of inspections and evaluations and consulting. All the things I do, I've got 20 plus years of experience, and I do a lot of research and study. Even though I don't do inspections, I still stay abreast of it because I like to know what these guys are doing and learning. So that way, when I do go out and work with my clients, I know whether that person who came in and did an inspection for them or for someone else did what they were supposed to do. And I'm sorry, but number 6 just kills me, because you are not supposed to be doing that. So that takes it out of there. Home insurance. I'm still number 6 a little bit. Home insurance is purchased before the closing. Also, warranties are good to have on the house. So that's all the warranties and things that you get from the owner. If they have a warranty on the hot water tank, warranty on the furnace, they should have warranties on the salt pump. Because when you buy it, it comes with a warranty. So they should have all that stuff so they can give it to you. Those are the warranties and guarantees that you have. Other than that, that inspector cannot warrant and guarantee anything because they didn't put it in and they don't know when it was put in. So they should not be doing that. Let me see. Number 7, education on inspections. There are courses available. Google them. Oh, so you can do that. So yeah, you can go and take some trainings to learn about inspections and learn about some of the things to look for. So that way, when you go out to look at a house before you hire that inspector, you say you're just looking around, so you can actually look at some things. And I always tell my clients, people who I've done evaluations for and things like that, I'll tell them, I said, do your own research, learn. So this way, when you see something, you may not know what's wrong with it, but if you look at it and it's not right, if it's something wrong with it, then if you see enough of these things that you see so many things that's not right with this house, you don't have to pay me to come out and tell you that it's not right, or pay an inspector to come out and tell you that there's an issue. You don't have to pay those people. So that saves you the money of having to go inspect. Because what happens is after that first, second, or third inspection, that second inspection, now that next house, you're basically just going to get it because you don't want to pay another inspection fee. And that should not be the reason why you're buying a house, is because you don't want to pay another inspection fee. You should be buying that house because you feel comfortable with that information, that you have the information you need to make an honest decision about whether you want to be in that house for the next 15, 20, 30 years, raising your family. That's why you're buying that house, not because you don't want to pay another inspection fee. So that is something I always suggest to my clients and people, in my first time home buyer program courses that I do a program called Do's and Don'ts for Buying a Home. And that's one of the things we talk about is learning. And we talk about a lot of different things you want to learn before you buy a home. So that way you're ready and armed and prepared to go in and do that information. about that property. You looking at each house, looking for certain things, and looking at the neighborhood and some other things we give as well. So that's what we talk about. So when I look at this report, another report. When I look at this article, I thought it was an interesting article. I thought it was an interesting, but it was an article written by a realtor and not by an inspector. So I can kind of understand where they're coming from, based on what they believe is what's best for their client is if the inspector does these things. But that number 6 is not even close to true. Some of the other stuff, I can kind of let slide by and make a little adjustments to. But number 6 is totally false. You are not an inspector going out to look at a property, should not be telling you anything about longevity or warranty or guarantee you anything about how long something should last you on that property. Once they've done that, they've misled you. It's called leading, and it's illegal. But will they tell you it's illegal? No, they won't. Because they're trying to convince you to buy that property because they want to keep that realtor's business by giving you that information to hope to make the sale go through so the realtor can get his commission. And that's basically what it is. That's why they're considered that realtor's inspector. That's right. He's on our team. I'm not on anybody's team. And I get referrals to do consulting and evaluations for a number of people. So it doesn't affect me. And like I said, I don't really do inspections anymore. I used to do inspections like 3, 4, 5 a week. Plus, I was traveling around the country for HUD doing inspections for them all over the country. I did what I did. Do I want to do home inspections and, all that stuff with realtors? No, I don't like working for realtors. I like working for the people who are buying or maintaining or owning those homes. I like working for them because I'm trying to make sure that they have the information they need to make sure that property is good for them and for the people who are living in it. If it's a rental property, making sure that they have the information they need to make that house habitable and livable and comfortable for the families that are living in it, especially if it has children. So that's what my role is. That's who I work with. And that's why a lot of attorneys use me, because they know that I'm not working for any realtor, and most realtors don't like me. They know me. And if I've even had some realtors contact me when their family or they were buying a property and asked me to come out and do an evaluation for them. But that same realtor won't refer me to one of their clients because they know how thorough I am. And so they don't want me doing that for their client, but they will have me do it for their family members and for them. So I find that to be pretty ironic, but hey, that's how it is, living in America. Anyways, again, my name is Willie A. Price, Willie A. Price Speaks. I wanted to talk about this, making your house your home. Home inspections are very, very important. Home inspections, property evaluations, any kind of information you can get, but they should not be misleading you. They should not be trying to convince you that this is a good house. This is a bad house. Buy the house, don't buy the house. It's going to last you XYZ amount of years. All those things are called leading. And in reality, it's called misleading to you one way or the other. That is not the inspector's role to try to convince you to buy or not buy that house. The inspector's role is to provide you with the information that you need to make an honest decision whether you would like to live or try to live in that house for the next 15 to 20 to 30 years with your family. That is the role of the property inspection, the property evaluator, however you want to address it. Again, my name is Willie A. Price. Willie A. Price Speaks. If you have any questions, concerns, thoughts, ideas on some subjects you would like to learn or know more about, or any of our workshops and trainings, hit me up on an email, Willie A. Price at AOL.com. I was going to give you our website. We just changed our website. We're about to change it again. But so we're going to change that up in a little while. So I'm not going to give you a website. But Willie A. Price at AOL.com. You can hit me up and send me some questions there, and we can address those questions for you on the show or directly or both. So again, I hope you guys have a great evening. Hope you had a great weekend. And we will see you next Sunday on Understanding Your You, a Better You Lifestyle, Understanding Your You. And we're going to talk about some self-awareness things, Understanding Your You. And we're going to talk about some things I did in a program recently. Actually, we'll do it with financial literacy, but we'll talk about that as well. You guys have a blessed night and enjoy the rest of your weekend. And I will see you next week. Bye-bye.